The moment I woke up with a clear head, the first thing I did was stop my mother-in-law from getting rid of the baby, the wild seed she was carrying. I talked her into keeping it and raising it under my name. Of course, just don't push it. 3 years later, my husband came back alive and brought a whole woman and her kid with him. He straight up said he was demoting me to concubine and kicking my child out of the manor. My mother-in-law jumped out and slapped him right across the face. You bring some lowlife home and think you can mess with a Ning? Not a chance. As long as I'm breathing, nobody is taking Yua Heir's place. Then my husband got seriously ill. I went to my mother-in-law and said, "Ma'am, your son is done for. You need to start thinking about your other son." She gave me this cold, sharp look and said, "Fine, send him on his way." I always knew my mother-in-law was sneaking around with someone. At first I was shocked, like, how could she do that? But then I thought, she's a widow. I'm a widow too. Same boat. Plus she was controlling and not someone you wanted to cross. Even if I called her out, what would I actually get from it? So I just played dumb. That's when my maid Xiuju snuck me a prescription and whispered in my ear, "My lady, this is the medicine the old madam had someone pick up." I had a doctor look at it in secret. It was an abortion formula. My hand shook holding it. "For real?" Xiuju nodded hard. I stared at those ingredient names, my stomach dropping. I waved her off. "You can go." Once I was alone, I sat at the table, picked up my tea, took a sip, just trying to steady myself. That morning at the daily greeting, I'd already noticed my mother-in-law's belly was slightly rounded and she looked off. So I casually asked, "Mother, are you feeling unwell? Should we call a doctor?" She rubbed her temples and said, "I'm a little run down." "Sure, have someone come check." The doctor came fast. One pulse check and his face went white. He rushed to clear everyone out. I took the hint and stepped outside, but I already had a pretty solid idea of what was going on. Back in my own courtyard, I had Xiuju find a way to get a copy of the old madam's prescription. And sure enough, I was right. I held that paper, my mind a complete mess. The day I married into this family, my husband left for war and never came back. Through a whole year of widowhood, she was bossy and domineering, and I had to walk on eggshells. But we managed. And now she's pregnant, with some other man's baby. What was I even supposed to do with that? Lost in my thoughts, I must have dozed off at the table and fell into a long, vivid dream. In the dream, it was 3 years later, and my husband, Han Jingyang, who was supposed to be dead, walked back through the door, and he wasn't alone. Behind him was this delicate, beautiful woman, holding the hand of a 3-year-old boy. He looked at me with ice-cold eyes and said back then he got injured and lost his memory. A woman named Lin Ru saved him. They got married out in the mountains and had a kid together. Then he said, "Lin Ru is the only wife I'll ever recognize. You and I have no real bond. We were separated the very night of our wedding. You don't count as my wife." He wanted me to voluntarily step down and clear the way for his beloved woman and their son. I refused and begged my mother-in-law to back me up. She was shocked at first, but one look at that little boy and she caved within minutes. I ran back to my family in tears, desperate for help. My parents had both passed away early. Before they died, they gave half the family estate as my dowry and left the other half with my uncle, asking him to look after me. Instead, my cousins laughed at me, and my uncle and aunt watched with cold eyes, even sneered, "Maybe you did something to embarrass the manor and got yourself thrown out. Besides, you're already married off. What does that have to do with us?" They ended up finding some excuse to strip my status, from legitimate wife down to lowly concubine, locked in a rundown courtyard, suffering every single day. Then one bitterly cold night, Lin Ru and Han Jingyang forced me to drink a cup of poisoned wine. I screamed and bolted awake, drenched in cold sweat. My heart was pounding out of my chest. That hopeless feeling from the dream felt way too real, like I had literally died. I pressed my hand to my chest, gasping. I slowly pulled myself together. No, absolutely not. If the dream was real, if that deadbeat husband actually survived and came back with his side woman and their kid, my real life would be even worse. I had to make a move. I had to do something now. My eyes landed on that prescription sitting on the table, and an idea hit me out of nowhere. I jumped up, threw open the door, and sprinted straight to my mother-in-law's courtyard. I burst into the room and saw her reclining on the daybed, holding a bowl of dark medicine, about to bring it to her lips. "Wait! Stop! Don't drink that!" I panicked and lunged forward, smacking the bowl right out of her hands. It crashed to the floor and shattered. Black liquid splattered everywhere. "Song and Ning!" She froze, then exploded. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" I forced my racing heart down, glanced at the maids and servants in the room, and kept my voice level. "Everyone out. I need to speak with Mother. Alone." They looked at each other, too scared to budge. My mother-in-law's eyes narrowed. "Song and Ning, have you lost your mind?" I said. "Mother, please have them leave. What I'm about to say affects your future and this entire manor's future. Only you can hear this." She stared me down for a long moment, then finally waved her most trusted attendant Joe Momo toward the door. Joe Momo led everyone out and pulled it shut behind her. The room went dead quiet. "Talk," she said, one eyebrow raised. "If what comes out of your mouth isn't worth hearing, I won't let this disrespect slide." I walked to her bedside, dropped my voice and said, "Mother, you're pregnant, aren't you? You should keep this baby." She looked like she'd been struck by lightning. Her whole body jolted and her hands flew straight to her stomach. "You? What are you even talking about?" "Mother, don't try to hide it, I already know." I slipped the prescription out of my sleeve and held it out to her. You're pregnant." She took it, her face going white. "Mother, your only son is gone. The title and estate of this manor. There are so many hungry eyes watching, just waiting to swoop in and take everything. And now heaven has given us this child. Can you really bring yourself to throw that away?" Her expression shifted slightly. I kept going. "You quietly have the baby, and we tell everyone outside that I, your daughter-in-law, had no child of my own and was desperate, so I took in an orphan to raise as mine. First, you'd have your own flesh and blood by your side, someone to hold on to, a real piece of you. Second, the manor's title stays protected and doesn't fall into outsiders' hands. Third, I'd finally have a child to my name. I'd have real standing here." She stared at me, her hand drifting slowly over her belly, her expression impossible to read. But I could tell, she never actually wanted to get rid of that baby. "Why are you helping me?" She locked eyes with me. "You're not going to turn me in, are you?" I held her gaze, completely honest. "Mother, you're my mother-in-law. We're tied to the same rope. You've treated me well this past year. I haven't forgotten that. Father-in-law has been gone so long, and you've carried this family on your back for years. You've more than earned it. And look, if those wolves in the side branches get their hands on this title, do either of us make it out okay? Helping you is helping myself." With every word, the suspicion in her eyes faded a little more, replaced by something that looked like satisfaction. She reached out and patted the back of my hand. "Good girl. I underestimated you. You've really thought this through." I bowed my head respectfully. "Mother, everything I do is for the good of this manor." She gave a satisfied nod and decided to keep the baby. Then I pushed a little further. "The further along you get, the harder it'll be to hide. Too many people around. Better to go stay at a quiet estate outside the city." She was already anxious about it herself, so she agreed on the spot. Not long after, the manor put out word. The old madam had gone to a temple outside the city to pray for the late young lord, with no set return date. The moment she left, the keys and authority over the entire household naturally fell into my hands, the one and only young mistress of this manor.